Before we begin this podcast, please be advised that the following episode contains language that some listeners may find offensive and inappropriate. The opinions expressed by the host and guests are their own and do not reflect the views of the podcast producers. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back to this episode about Lucky Stancliff on Voices of a Killer. When we last left off, Lucky had told us about his first murder. Now we'll dive deeper into the details of this murder and what exactly happened on the fateful night. We'll ask Lucky the tough questions and find out exactly why he did it on this episode of Voices of a Killer.
So this person that 4 years later, take me back to that day. Were you strung out looking for money for drugs?
No, I didn't have no drug habit then.
You just wanted to rob him for money?
Well, I'd been pulling robberies.
Okay.
I got into the robbery thing, but this guy broke and run, and he broke into a back room. I don't know if he's going for a gun or whatever.
Right.
You know?
Is this at a gas
when the
station?
shooting started. Yeah.
Where did this murder happen? What town? It was a gas station in some town in Missouri?
It was between Mount Vernon and Springfield.
Okay. And what year was it?
69.
69?
Yeah.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Did you shoot through the door when he went in there?
No.
You chased him down and shot him, gunned him down?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whenever you gunned him down, did he plead with you to not shoot him?
No, there wasn't no pleading to it. You know, nobody was talking.
It was just
I chased him down and shot him on the outside of the building. I first shot him in the building, but he had made it outside, and then chased him down out there and shoot him.
After you killed him, did you rob the place and take money?
We already had the money.
You say we, somebody else is with you?
Yeah, I got a fall partner.
Yeah. Does he have share the same sentiments as you, as being angry?
No, he's not my type.
Yeah. How long after that did you get arrested for that?
The next day, I think.
So you realize that was a really lucky sentence to be having a parole date, because you pled not guilty. Usually when you plead not guilty and they find you guilty, you're doing some, you're getting life without usually, but you just got 25 years or something?
No, I got a life sentence.
Life sentence? So you did 85% of 30?
No. Back then, when I first started, you could do a life sentence. You could get out in about 7 years if you kept your record clean, you know? But
Wow.
I didn't get out till, 19 years. I hit prison. I came to the prison January the 12th of 1970.
Right.
That's when I hit the prison. That was after all the time I spent 4 different county jails.
If you got
to get
out,
me up there a lot.
If you got out today, would you kill again?
Not unless somebody made me.
According to court documents, the scene of this crime was a Texaco service station in Lawrence County, Missouri on the I-44 highway. It was here that innocent service station attendant Richard Ferguson encountered Lucky in the cold, dark night on the morning of March 15, 1969. Richard's body was found about 100 feet from the building of the service station, and he had been shot at least 10 times. He was last seen alive at 11:50 p.m. on March 14th by 3 of his friends, and he was discovered by an off-duty employee at 1:20 a.m. that morning. The cash register was open, and the money was gone. 1 day later, the police found a .25 caliber Browning automatic pistol about 1.5 miles south of the station, and a .22 caliber Sturm Ruger automatic pistol still with a live round in the chamber. Lucky didn't include this detail in his recollection, but the naivety of his youth probably led him and his partner to think that throwing the weapons out the car window would be good enough to get rid of them. Thankfully for law enforcement, this wasn't the case, and the next day Lucky and his partner were arrested by the sheriff's office. During the trial, prosecutors linked the guns to Lucky through witness statements, including one from his then-wife. She also testified that she had seen him driving in the direction of the service station. This circumstantial evidence, ballistic analysis, witness testimonies, and the discovery of the murder weapons formed the crux of the prosecution's case. The defense argued that there was no direct evidence linking Lucky to the actual shooting. However, the jury was convinced by the circumstantial evidence that Lucky had participated in the robbery and subsequent murder. The jury found Lucky Stancliff guilty of first-degree murder, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment. After the break, we hear about how 19 years in jail didn't stop Lucky from killing again.
So these murders that you're in prison for now, what year did that happen?
That happened when I got out after 19 years. That was in Kansas City.
How long after the 19-year sentence?
I was only in Kansas City. I was only on parole probably for about 4 months before that happened.
Wow. That was quick. Were you a pretty angry person out of prison after 19 years?
No.
So
I had got jobs. I had got a few different jobs in Kansas City, and I finally got a job that I liked, and I was working out at that job and so forth, and I had an apartment that I had rented in a bad part of town there, for real.
Yeah.
And there was a whole bunch of apartments in that building, probably 12 or so, and it was in sort of a bad area, black and everything else. And I came back from work one night, early in the morning. I was working restocking a supermarket, and I was spending 8 hours there. 6 of us restocked that big-ass supermarket for a long time until I came back to my little house, my little apartment. I had bought a TV, and I had bought an air conditioner put in the window, and I had bought a stereo system. And I got back in the next morning between 6:30 and 7 o'clock a.m., and my TV was gone, my stereo system was gone, and the big hole in the window where the air conditioner was that I'd bought, it was gone. And so I didn't waste no time. I was conditioned to being in prison for 20 years, so I just started knocking on doors and asking people if they seen anybody carrying anything out.
Yeah.
And one person told me about it.
You had somebody tell you that they did see?
Yeah.
What'd they say?
They seen somebody carrying stuff out, so I went down to where they lived on the second floor of the apartment building, or the floor below me anyway. And I told them to come up and talk to me for a minute, walk up and talk to me.
Did they seem nervous?
Well, yeah, a little bit.
Who was it? Who was it?
It was some black gal that had a dope habit.
Okay.
And she admitted to stealing my stuff.
How long did it take you to get her to admit to it?
About 15 minutes. Something like it, 10 minutes. I talked nice to her.
Yeah, so the 15-minute conversation, or, and give or take a few minutes, but that conversation, you said you're just basically kind of coercing her, trying to admit to it?
Right, and she did.
Yeah. Was anybody else there with her?
No, just me and her.
Did she have all your belongings in the apartment? Did she already pawn them off?
No, she had already sold that. She'd got rid of it for drugs.
Yeah. So after you figured out that she got rid of everything, what was your reaction?
I told her to do this, and I sucked my lips in. And she said, "What?" And I said, "Do this." And when she did, I smacked a piece of tape across her lips, and then I tied a rope around her neck and choked her to death and threw her in the closet, threw some clothes on her.
You taped her mouth shut and you put a rope around her neck. Was she fighting you?
Yeah. No. She wasn't about to fight me.
How big are you?
I weigh about 125 pounds.
How tall are you?
5 foot, about 5'9".
So you're not exactly, a big person. Obviously, you probably
but I've been a fighter my entire life.
I'm sure your presence. I'm sure your presence after 19 years in prison has some effect. But I'm just surprised she didn't. I'm surprised she didn't try to fight you back.
No, she wasn't in her to do that.
Did you have her inside the apartment when you put the rope around her neck?
Yes.
And how long did it take for you to choke her out?
Not very long. I mean, I know how to tie a hard knot.
Yeah.
Well, I threw some clothes over, and then I went to that other place.
I have to admit that of all the killers we have interviewed on this podcast, this is probably the most chilling one. Lucky is so matter-of-fact about this killing that it is really difficult to see the human side of him through this conversation. Lucky's second victim was 29-year-old Dertra Smart, and according to news reports, she was a girlfriend of Lucky's at the time. On April 10th, 1989, 2 days after the murder, police found Dertra's body in Lucky's apartment in Midtown, Kansas City. Her body was in a closet beneath 24 pieces of clothing, according to court records. Dertra's hands and feet were tied, and a strip of duct tape covered her mouth and nose. The most sinister part about this that Lucky fails to mention is that police retrieved a note lying on Dertra's chest. In the note, it seemed as if Lucky blamed Dertra for the loss of his job, money, parole status, and dignity. It read, "Need I say more as to why you're sitting there, tied up, still trying to talk your way out of it?" The cruel nature of this note highlights a very wicked side of Lucky. With the loss of his air conditioner, rage built up inside him, and Lucky wasn't done killing for the night.
I went to the place that she named, the guy, the place that bought it was at another, the one that bought the air conditioner was at another house on another street, another apartment house. She gave me the apartment number and so forth. So I went straight to that place, and instead of knocking, I just kicked the door open in on the apartment, and my air conditioner was sitting on the floor where the old guy was sitting at in a chair in the room. And he started to get up out of the chair and said, "I'll call the police." So I just walked over and stabbed him to death. Never said a word. And then I left the building. And then I went on my spree. Simple as that.
So whenever you went to the other place, that guy, did you already have the knife out in your hand whenever you walked in? Or you kicked down the door, I mean?
Yeah.
And how many times do you think you stabbed him?
I don't know, 3 or 4 times, probably 4 or 5 times, probably. I don't know.
Was it overhand or underhand?
It was overhand.
You got him in the chest area?
Started to get up.
He went back in the chair as you stabbed him.
Yeah, when he got back in the chair, that's where I stabbed him to death. Yeah. And then I just left.
Without any thought or emotion, Lucky found his second victim of the night, 83-year-old Julian Rains. Julian and Dertra were acquainted as prior to that fateful night, he had given Dertra a set of keys so she could clean his room. After strangling Dertra to death, Lucky calmly walked across the street and stabbed Julian to death without saying a word to him. This type of callous act shows that Lucky really had a deep-seated hatred for society when he left prison. The ability to kill without any real motive and a complete lack of empathy for his victims shows that he really failed to reintegrate into society. Lucky's attitude wasn't that he had failed, rather it was that society had failed him. With that in mind, Lucky fled the scenes of the crimes and went on the run. On the next episode of Voices of a Killer, we find out where he went and how the long arm of the law eventually caught up to him. If you want to find out what happens next, right now, you can sign up at patreon.com/voicesofakiller. There you can find bonus content, early access, ad-free listening, and access to our chat community. So go to patreon.com/voicesofakiller to sign up now. Your support is what keeps us passionate about bringing these stories to you. That's a wrap on this episode of Voices of a Killer. A big shout out to Sonic Futures, who handled the production, audio editing, music licensing, and promotion of this podcast. If you want to hear more episodes like this one, make sure to visit our website at voicesofakiller.com. There you can find previous episodes, transcripts, and additional information about the podcast. Lastly, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Your feedback helps us improve and reach new listeners. Thank you for your support, and we can't wait to share more stories with you in the future. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Toby, and we'll see you next time on Voices of a Killer.